I need to tell you something about winter that nobody talks about. We romanticize it, don't we? The first snowfall, hot chocolate by the fire, that pristine silence that blankets everything in white. But here's the thing, winter changes places, transforms them. And the cold preserves things. Things that should stay buried. Things that should have rotted away decades ago. I've been covering disturbing cases for 3 years now, and I've noticed a pattern. The messages I receive, the stories people share, they cluster around the same season. December through February. Always winter. Always the cold. And tonight, I'm sharing 3 of them with you. 3 true accounts that will make you reconsider everything you think you know about those dark, frozen months. Because here's what I've learned. Some towns have unspoken rules about being outside after dark in December. The locals know. They always know. They just don't talk about it with outsiders. By the end of this video, you'll understand why. But what happens when you realize the cold isn't what you should fear most? What happens when you understand that winter darkness hides something that's been hunting for longer than any of us have been alive? Drop a comment if you've ever felt watched in the snow. Because after tonight, you'll know why. The first story takes place somewhere I've actually been. A ski resort in the Colorado Rockies called White Ridge Lodge. December 2019. I came across this account on Reddit. A detailed post from a woman named Jessica, 26, solo traveler, looking for peace after a bad breakup. She wanted isolation. She wanted to clear her head. She found something else entirely. The original poster deleted everything within 24 hours. The entire account gone. I managed to save it before it disappeared. I'll let you decide why she scrubbed it from the internet. Here's what you need to understand about mountain towns. They have their own rules. The locals know things. They've lived through winters that would break most people, and they've learned what to avoid. Jessica didn't know those rules. She thought solo travel was empowering, a way to reclaim herself. And it can be. But there's a fine line between solitude and isolation. Between finding yourself and losing yourself completely. This is her story, or at least what's left of it. Jessica drove up to White Ridge Lodge on a Tuesday afternoon. The kind of gray December day where the sky and snow blur into one endless sheet of white. She'd booked an off-season discount week. 70% off because nobody skis in early December before the real snow comes. The lodge sat at the end of a winding mountain road, 3 stories of dark timber and stone, smoke curling from 2 chimneys. It looked like a Norman Rockwell painting. Perfect, untouched. Inside, a fire crackled in a riverstone fireplace that dominated the main room. The smell of pine and wood smoke wrapped around everything. Heavy wooden beams crossed the ceiling. Leather furniture, thick rugs, the kind of place that promised warmth and safety from the cold outside. Only 4 other guests, she'd been told. Minimal staff. Quiet. Exactly what she needed. The owner, Marcus, met her at the front desk. 50s, maybe older, with weathered skin and hands that looked like they'd built half the lodge themselves. He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Welcome to White Ridge, Miss Chen," he said, checking her in. "You're in room 12, top floor, best view of the mountains." "It's beautiful here," Jessica said. "How long have you owned the place?" "Long time." He handed her an actual metal key, not a key card. "Locals joke I've always been here. Breakfast is 7 to 9. Dinner's at 6 if you want it. Wi-Fi's a bit spotty up here, but you're here to disconnect anyway. Right?" She laughed. "Exactly. That first night was peaceful." She ate alone in the dining room, didn't see the other guests, and returned to her room as snow began to fall. The lodge settled around her with creaks and groans, the heating system making sounds. At least, she told herself it was the heating system. Small things felt off, though she couldn't articulate why. The staff, 2 women, older, locals probably, never made eye contact. They served food, cleaned, disappeared. Down the hall from her room, room 7's door had a different lock, heavier, like it hadn't been opened in years. And at exactly 9 p.m., the Wi-Fi cut out. Not slowly, just gone like someone flipped a switch. She fell asleep to the sound of wind against the windows and the weight of silence pressing down from the mountains. On the second night, I heard the singing. That's how Jessica described it. Singing. A woman's voice, distant and muffled, like it was coming from somewhere inside the walls. An old-fashioned melody, the kind her grandmother might have hummed. Started around midnight. She sat up in bed, listening, trying to locate the source. The hallway? The room next door? No, deeper, like the sound was traveling through the bones of the building itself. She got up, opened her door. The hallway was empty, lit by dim sconces that cast more shadow than light. Her breath misted in front of her face. Colder out here than in her room. She walked the length of the hall, listening. The singing faded, stopped. Just the wind outside and the creak of old timber settling. She checked with the other guests at breakfast. A retired couple from Denver, a businessman up from Boulder. None of them heard anything. They looked at her like she'd had too much wine. Maybe she had. Maybe it was nothing. But Jessica couldn't let it go. During the Wi-Fi window that evening, 6 to 9, she'd figured out. She searched for the lodge's history. Most of it was exactly what you'd expect. Built in 1971, family-owned, excellent reviews. Then she found it. A newspaper archive buried deep. December 1983. Local woman, Sarah Whitmore, disappeared from White Ridge Lodge during a blizzard. Room 7. Last seen by staff on December 18th. Never found. The search was called off after 2 weeks. The winter had been too harsh. At dinner, Jessica asked Marcus about room 7. His face went flat. That room's not in use. I know, but some doors stay closed for a reason, Miss Chen. He picked up her empty plate, even though she wasn't finished. Enjoy your evening. That night, the singing came back. Louder, closer. Not in the walls this time, in the hallway. Jessica opened her door and followed it, her heart hammering. The melody led her past the guest rooms, past the stairwell, to a maintenance corridor she hadn't noticed before. At the end, a door marked Old Wing Renovations. She shouldn't have touched it. She knew that, but the singing was right there, just on the other side, and she needed to know. The doorknob was warm, not room temperature. Warm like someone had been holding it. In a hallway cold enough to see your breath. That door radiated heat. She tried it, locked, but next to the door, on a small table covered in dust, sat a guest log. She opened it, flipped through pages. Room 7, occupied every winter for the past 40 years. December 10th through December 21st. Same check-in, same check-out. And every single entry had the same name written in different handwriting. Sarah Whitmore. What I found in those logs made me understand why the Wi-Fi cuts out at night. They don't want you looking things up after dark. Jessica found the key to that door in the log spine, taped to the binding. Her hands were shaking when she slid it into the lock. The door opened. The old wing looked like time had stopped. No dust, no decay. The carpet was pristine, the wallpaper unfaded, like someone had been maintaining it for 40 years. Room 7's door stood ajar, light spilling into the hallway. Jessica pushed it open. The room was set up for a guest who never left. Personal items on the dresser, a hairbrush, a watch, loose change. An open suitcase on the luggage rack, clothes still folded inside. And on the nightstand, a journal. Jessica picked it up with trembling hands. The name inside the cover, Sarah Whitmore. She flipped to the last entry. December 20th, 1983. I can hear them in the walls. Not singing, screaming. Marcus promised I'd be safe here during the storm. He lied. They're preserving something in this place. The cold keeps it fresh. I tried to leave, but my car. The entry ended mid-sentence. Jessica heard footsteps in the hallway behind her. Heavy, deliberate, She shoved the journal in her coat and ran, back through the old wing, through the maintenance corridor to her room. She threw everything into her bag, hands shaking so badly she could barely zip it. She needed to get out. Her car was in the lot, covered in a thin layer of fresh snow. She turned the key. Nothing. The battery was dead. Completely dead. She'd bought the car 3 months ago. Miss Chen. Marcus's voice behind her, calm as ever. Storm's coming. You should stay inside tonight. She spun around. He stood at the lodge entrance, backlit by the warm glow from inside. My car won't start. Winter's hard on batteries. I'll take a look in the morning. I need to leave now. Roads aren't safe. He smiled, still didn't reach his eyes. Come inside. I'll make coffee. Jessica pulled out her phone. No signal. Of course. She looked at Marcus, then at the dark road stretching into the mountains, then back at the lodge where warm light promised safety and something else waited in room 7. She started walking. 3 miles down that mountain road in the snow and dark before a snowplow driver found her, half frozen, still clutching her bag. He drove her to town. She reported everything to the police. They investigated, found nothing unusual. No old wing, no room 7 set up like a museum, no guest log with 40 years of Sarah Whitmore's name. Just renovations in progress and a concerned owner who said his guest had seemed unstable. Marcus still runs the lodge. I checked. 5-star reviews. Beautiful and isolated, guests say. Perfect for solo travelers looking to get away from it all. Jessica never went back, but she told me one more thing before she deleted her account. Marcus's final words as she walked away into the snow. Safe travels, Miss Chun. Winter's long up here. Some of you are already Googling White Ridge Lodge. Let me save you time. It exists, it's still open, and yes, Marcus is still there. I've received 3 emails from people claiming they've stayed there since I started researching this story. 2 of them shared their experiences. Similar oddities, strange sounds, that feeling of being watched. The 3rd person, I haven't heard back from them. Their last email was sent from the lodge itself. Story 2 is different, shorter, but it stayed with me longer. The first story was about a place, something wrong with the location itself. This next one is about a person, or more accurately, about what follows certain people into the winter cold. Because sometimes the horror isn't where you go. Sometimes you bring it with you. Drop a fire if you're still with me. This one gets under your skin differently. David Arnett, 32 years old, wildlife photographer with a decade of experience in extreme environments. January 2021, he entered the Boundary Water State Forest in northern Minnesota to document winter migration patterns. Solo camping trip. 5 days planned. He was a professional, prepared for sub-zero temperatures, experienced in winter survival. This account comes from his audio logs, recovered by park rangers on January 27th. That should tell you everything you need to know about how this ends. When rangers have to recover your recordings, something went very wrong. David's camera was found 200 yards from his campsite, half buried in snow. The memory card was full. But here's the thing, he only took 12 photos the entire trip. 12. The card held 3,000. The rest were corrupted. All except those final 12. What follows are transcripts from his audio logs. His words, his voice, documenting something that professional experience couldn't prepare him for. Day 1, 3:15 p.m. Camp established at coordinates logged. Temperatures holding at -8 Fahrenheit. Wind chill makes it feel closer to -20. Perfect conditions. The snow here is untouched, goes on for miles. This is exactly what I needed. I've got 5 days to document whatever migrates through this corridor. Should be seeing wolf tracks, maybe lynx if I'm lucky. Going to be a good trip. Day 2, 4:47 p.m. I've got maybe an hour of light left. Hiked about 6 miles today, set up some remote cameras. Something's odd though. Haven't seen any animal tracks. Not one. No deer, no rabbits, not even bird prints in the snow. It's too quiet. I mean, I know it's winter, but there should be something. Probably just haven't found the right area yet. Tomorrow I'll push further north. Day 2, 9:20 p.m. That silence is really starting to get to me. I'm a professional, I've done this 100 times, but this feels different. It's like the forest is holding its breath. You know that feeling? Anyway, getting some sleep. Long day tomorrow. Day 3, 10:32 a.m. Found tracks. Finally. But they're wrong. They're humanoid, I mean they look like footprints, but they're barefoot. Out here. In -15 degrees. And they're too long, maybe 14 inches, with the toes too splayed out. They circle my camp from about 50 yards out. A perfect perimeter. Like someone walked in a circle around me while I slept. I'm photographing everything. This doesn't make sense. No human could survive barefoot out here. The tissue would freeze in minutes. Day 3, 2:16 p.m. Followed the tracks for half a mile. They just stop. Middle of a clearing, they just stop. No snow disturbed around them. No indication of where whatever made them went. I'm heading back to camp. I don't know what this is. Day 3, 11:38 p.m. I can hear breathing outside the tent. Slow, deep, right outside the fabric. I have my knife, my bear spray. I'm not opening this tent. Whatever's out there, it's been standing there for the past 20 minutes. Just breathing. Standing right outside the tent. Day 4, 6:03 a.m. Didn't sleep. Couldn't. At first light, I checked outside. The tracks are closer. 20 yards out now. Same perfect circle. Whatever it is, it's tightening the perimeter. I'm leaving. Packing up now. 8 miles to the ranger station. I can make that by early afternoon if I push hard. Day 4, 6:47 a.m. My equipment's malfunctioning. GPS won't power on, fresh batteries, should be fine. Satellite phone won't connect. Just static. My camera's glitching, displaying photos I don't remember taking. Photos of my tent. From outside. Different angles. Timestamps throughout last night. 2:47 a.m. 3:15 a.m. 4:33 a.m. My camera was in the tent with me. I had it in my sleeping bag to keep the battery warm. This isn't possible. Day 4, 8:21 a.m. Okay. You're trained for this. Predator behavior. Circle the prey, wait for weakness. It's just a predator. Could be a bear, disoriented from hibernation. Or I'm hypothermic. Early stages. Confusion, paranoia. That would explain the photos, the equipment. I'm not thinking clearly. Just need to get to the ranger station. Keep moving. Don't stop. Day 4, 10:15 a.m. I'm not going the right direction. My compass says I'm heading north, but the landmarks are wrong. That ridge should be on my left. It's on my right. The forest looks different. Trees I don't remember. I stopped to recalibrate and I saw it. Standing between 2 pines about 100 yards ahead. Tall. Too tall. It moved behind the trees before I could focus on it. I'm changing course. Going east now. Day 4, 11:42 a.m. It's in front of me again. Every direction I turn, it appears. Not chasing. Hurting. It's hurting me. Away from the ranger station. Away from help. The trees all look the same now. I don't know where I am. Mom, if you ever hear this, I'm sorry I didn't listen about the buddy system. You were right. You were always right. Day 4, 1:56 p.m. I found something. A structure. Shouldn't be here. Not on any map. Stone foundation, old. Maybe 100 years. Oh God. There are others here. Not alive. Not exactly dead. Preserved. The cold keeps them. Day 4, 2:09 p.m. It's not chasing me. It's leading me somewhere. And I think I just found where. Day 4, 2:31 p.m. Heavy static. The structure is static, stone foundation, walls partially collapsed, static, can't be here, not on any survey maps, static. Inside there are others, 6, maybe 7, I can't, they're not alive, not exactly dead. The cold preserves, static. Their eyes are open, static. It keeps them here, keeps them in the cold, some kind of static. Been hunting here for decades, maybe longer, static. It's coming back, I can hear, static. Please, someone, static. The recording ends. Park rangers found David's campsite on January 27th, 4 days after his last scheduled check-in. Here's what they discovered. His camp was 400 yards from where his GPS logs said it should be. His trail, tracked through the snow, showed he'd walked in circles for miles, crossing his own path dozens of times. The footprints he'd photographed, the barefoot ones, were his own boots. He'd been walking the perimeter of his own camp. His camera contained 284 photos. Most were corrupted beyond recovery. The 12 that remained showed exactly what he'd described in his first logs. Trees, snow, normal camp photos from days 1 and 2, except for photo number 12. It was taken from inside his tent. The camera was pointed at David while he slept in his sleeping bag. The timestamp read 2:47 a.m., day 3, and standing behind the camera, partially visible in the frame, was a blurred figure. Tall, too tall. The image quality made it impossible to see details, but you could make out the shape. The general outline. Humanoid, but wrong in ways the corruption of the photo couldn't fully explain. David's body was never found. The rangers did find something else, though. More campsites in that area. Old ones. Some decades old. Perfectly preserved under layers of snow and ice. Tents still standing. Gear laid out like the occupants had just stepped away. They're still out there. I need to be honest with you. Story 3 is different. It's the only one I can't verify, but it's also the only one that explains the others. Some of you already know where this is going. You've noticed the patterns, the similarities between Jessica's story and David's, the isolation, the circling, the preservation. There's a reason winter horror stories follow patterns. There's a reason these accounts cluster in the same season, in the same conditions. And Story 3, this theory, puts all of it into context. Pause here if you need to. This one is heavy, because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And winter is coming. In March 2018, an anonymous user posted on an archived folklore forum. Username, Winter Warning. The post detailed a pattern the researcher had been documenting for 7 years. A pattern of winter disappearances across North America spanning over 200 years. Not random, not coincidence, purposeful. This person had credentials. I was able to verify that much before the trail went cold. University professor, published work on American folklore and indigenous oral traditions, respected in academic circles. But they posted anonymously, and the post stayed up for 6 hours before the entire forum went dark. Not just the thread, the entire site, gone. I have screenshots, I have the text saved, and I've spent 2 years trying to verify the claims made in that post. The theory is simple and it's terrifying. Something wakes up in winter, and it's been hunting for a very long time. The researchers' findings were comprehensive, methodical, terrifying in their implications. Every 50 to 100 miles across the northern United States and Canada, there's what they called a cold spot, a location where winter disappearances cluster. The profile is always the same. Solo travelers, experienced outdoorsmen, people who know what they're doing. They vanish completely or they're found preserved, frozen in positions that suggest they died of exposure, but with expressions that suggest they saw something first. The researcher traced this pattern back through historical records. Trapper journals from the 1800s, settler diaries, Hudson's Bay Company logs. The disappearances go back centuries. following the same geographic points, the same seasonal timing. December through February. Always winter, always the cold, but it goes back further than European records. The researcher found references in indigenous oral traditions across dozens of tribes: Ojibwe, Cree, Inuit, Athabascan. Different names, same warnings. The one who walks in the long dark, the winter hunter, the thing that waits in the cold. Stories passed down for generations about something that wakes when the days grow short and the temperature drops below a certain threshold. European settlers ignored these warnings, dismissed them as superstition. The disappearances continued. Unexplained deaths attributed to harsh weather, to poor planning, to the brutal reality of frontier life. But the pattern held. Every winter, same locations, same victim profile. The researcher mapped it, showed how these cold spots are connected like nodes in a network. They're all places where winter is harshest, where darkness lasts longest, where isolation is guaranteed. Mountain passes, deep forests, remote lockshores, places where you can go days without seeing another human being. Here's what disturbed me most about the research. Local authorities know. Park rangers, small-town sheriffs, search and rescue teams in these areas. They know the zones. They don't advertise them, don't put up warning signs, but they know. The researcher included interviews, anonymous, transcribed. A ranger in northern Minnesota. We tell people to use the buddy system. We don't tell them why, but we tell them. Nobody goes into the boundary waters alone in winter if they're smart. A sheriff in rural Colorado. Some lodges up here, we keep an eye on them. Make sure guests check out when they're supposed to. Sometimes they don't. The pattern suggests rules, an intelligence behind it. It's territorial, each cold spot has a range, a hunting ground it doesn't leave. It's patient, it can wait years between successful hunts. And it's adaptive, the methods change with the times, but the core behavior remains constant. The researcher's conclusion in part 1: it's territorial, and its territory is growing. The cold spots are expanding. More disappearances in zones that were previously safe. Climate change might be disrupting its patterns, or maybe it's just getting bolder. The researcher's final conclusion was the most chilling. This isn't a creature. It's an intelligence, and it adapts. In the 1800s, it took trappers working isolated trap lines. In the early 1900s, it took hunters and explorers pushing into unmapped wilderness. By the mid-century, it was hikers and campers seeking solitude. Now, it lures people with technology failures. GPS malfunctions that send you in circles. Satellite phones that won't connect. Car batteries that die in parking lots. It's learned how we navigate, how we stay safe, and it's figured out how to strip those safeties away. The researcher wrote, "It's not just adapting to our technology. It's using it against us. It understands that we trust our devices more than our instincts. It knows we'll follow a GPS even when the landmarks don't match. It knows we'll assume a dead battery is just bad luck." But then the posts changed, became paranoid, personal. "I think I've been marked. I've studied this too closely, spent too long looking at the pattern. Things are happening. My equipment keeps malfunctioning. Laptop crashes, phone randomly restarts. My car wouldn't start yesterday even though the mechanic says there's nothing wrong with it. I feel watched. Not all the time. Just when I'm alone. Just after dark." 3 days later, I heard my own voice last night, outside my house, calling my name. I live alone. I didn't open the door, but it knew my voice. How does it know my voice? The final post came on December 14th, 2018. I'm in northern Vermont. Research trip, checking one of the cold spots I've mapped. I shouldn't have come alone, but I needed to see it for myself. If you're reading this and I haven't updated in 48 hours, don't look for me. It's not worth it. The cold takes what it wants. I've learned the rules. It can only take you if you're truly alone. No witnesses. That's why the lodges work. Marcus isolates his guests one at a time. That's why David walked in circles until he was lost. Separation, isolation, then the cold. The researcher added one final line. Jessica got lucky. David didn't. I won't. No update was ever posted. The forum went dark 6 hours later. I've tried to find out who this person was, where they went. Nothing. No missing persons report matching the details. No academic in Vermont researching folklore who disappeared in December 2018. It's like they were never there at all. Here's what I know for certain. The White Ridge Lodge exists. You can book it right now. Marcus is still listed as the owner. I called. He answered. Friendly. Professional. Told me they have availability in December if I'm interested. David's case is real. Unsolved disappearance, January 2021. Minnesota Department of Natural Resources file number 2021-047. His camera and audio equipment were recovered. The case remains open. His family still posts about him on social media, asking for any information. The forum post? I have screenshots. I have the text saved in 3 different locations. But I can't verify the researcher's identity. I've tried. University records, publication databases, missing persons reports. Nothing matches. It's like they covered their tracks or someone covered them after. So what does that leave us with? Whether you believe in something supernatural or not, the pattern is documented. Winter claims people. Solo travelers disappear in remote locations every single year. Maybe it's exposure, bad luck, human error, poor planning, the statistical reality of putting yourself in dangerous situations. Or maybe there's something else out there, something that understands isolation, that's learned to exploit our trust in technology, that's been hunting in the winter cold for longer than we've been keeping records. Look up missing 411 cases if you want to go down that rabbit hole. Clusters of disappearances in national parks and forests. Strange circumstances. Experienced people vanishing without explanation. The patterns are there if you look. I've received messages from people claiming they've encountered this. People who felt watched in the winter woods. People who heard their own voices calling from outside their tents. People who barely made it out. I believe them, not because I can prove what they experienced, but because their stories follow the same patterns, the same rules. I'm recording this in July for the record. It's 90 degrees outside. Winter feels very far away right now, but it's coming. It always comes. Winter's coming. It always does. And somewhere right now, someone is planning a solo winter camping trip, or booking a stay at a remote lodge, or following GPS coordinates into the backcountry. Maybe they'll be fine. Most people are. Statistics are on their side. But some won't make it back. And will explain it away: hypothermia, tragic accident, bad planning, wrong place, wrong time. The cold is unforgiving. Nature doesn't care about your experience level. That's what we'll say. But you'll know. You'll wonder. Now you understand what I meant at the beginning. Winter changes places. The cold preserves things. And some towns have unspoken rules about being outside after dark in December because the locals know. They've always known. Drop a comment if you have your own winter horror story. I read every single one. I'm compiling them, looking for patterns. If you've experienced something in the winter cold that you can't explain, I want to hear about it. To my returning viewers, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. To new people, welcome to the Winter Files. There's more where this came from. Stay safe out there. And if you're ever alone in the winter cold, and you hear your name being called from somewhere in the darkness, don't answer. Next video drops in 3 days. It's about something that happens in basements. Something that climbs. You won't want to miss it.